Good day and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV, Plus Sport. As usual, today will be interesting because it's so much to talk about in the world of sport. I am Mudashiru Shitu. In the next few minutes to be your guide and anchor to tell you what you need to know in the world of sport. What's more interesting is that I'm not going to do this alone. I have Shehu Agbabiaka with us all the way from Estonia. He's going to be part of today's show. It's good to have you on the show, Shehu. We have Shehu Agbabiaka with us, who will be joining us. It's good to have you on the show, Shehu.
Good afternoon. It's good to have you too.
Yeah. So how's Estonia today?
Well, it's fantastic. The weather is a bit cold. Of course, we are living through it, so we can manage.
Okay. And obviously, Nigeria, Lagos is interesting. The weather is friendly, and though we've been experiencing a bit of hot sun, but very, very hot one, but we'll be expecting rain soonest. So I'm just giving you the weather condition of Lagos. But regardless to that, we go straight to what's trending is the fact that a lot of people want to know who will be the next Super Eagles coach. Who will be? That's a very tough question. And I tell you, looking for who's going to be the next Super Eagles coach is as big as tough as who is going to be the president of the country. It is so much to talk about. Oh, should it be this? Should it be that? And that's why we have you, Shehu Agbabiaka. Now, let me streamline that question, Shehu. The first segment of the question is, do you want us to have, which is preferable, a foreign coach or a local coach? The last person that left is a foreigner. Before him, we have Ghana Troy. So Paseo just left some few months ago. So it should be a local coach or a foreign coach for you?
In my perspective, I'm always a fan of local coaches. If you probably want to improve your league or you want to improve the standard of football, I will always suggest a local coach. But if you still have a foreign expertise, it makes no difference. But to improve the football in Nigeria, I will always prefer a local coach.
Okay, you always prefer a local coach. But why do you think the NFF, the Nigerian Football Federation, always want to have a foreign coach? I mean, the last one, before Paseo, we have the man they call Ghana Troy. So to me, why do you want to prefer a local coach?
Well, I think it all boils down to the kind of caliber of players that they manage. Apparently, if you're managing players who play most of their lives in Europe, you probably want to subscribe to coaches who can handle the kind of big boys that your Nigerian superstars are parading. Having the likes of Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Iwobi, those guys, they play in top flight. And then, of course, they always want a foreign coach to manage them. But that's not said, I still prefer that the local coach can easily handle the boys. I mean, Finidi George is one of a fantastic Nigerian good player who was a right-wing midfielder, attacking midfielder in Ajax back in his days of football. Of course, so many Nigerians of today will probably know who Finidi George is. So obviously, he is a man who normally sports talent, just like Emmanuel Amunike. You heard one of Victor Osimhen's interview where he spoke highly of Amunike, how they spotted him, and so many other players like that. I mean, for me, it's always easy for players who have played professionally, to spot those boys. I mean, if you look at outside football in Africa, in Europe, you can see most of the successful coaches that you see are players. You can talk about the likes of Pep Guardiola. You can talk about the likes of the Liverpool head coach. You can talk about the likes of them. They are always, most of them are players. Zinedine Zidane, players and Neymar. But of course, having a foreign coach wouldn't be a bad start. I mean, we just left Paseo. We could have continued this extension as Nigerian head coach. But I think at this time, to prepare for the major tournaments coming up, I would rather see, let's give these boys a try. I mean, if you remember, the last coach that won the African Cup of Nations for Nigeria was probably the late Stephen Keshi, if
Yeah.
I'm correct. So yeah, I mean the local coach, the local, I won't call them local. They played in top flight in their respective league during their time, but of course they can manage the boys properly, and it's easy to relate with them. Osnijo Joe Kocha, Finidi George, all of them, the likes of them. These are players that these players look up to, and obviously they pay a lot of respect to see them leading them on the field.
Okay, interesting. Now, we also want you to know that why do this ex-international want to come back, and why do people think that they cannot take charge of the local boys?
Well, I think I don't really believe in that. I think it's all have to do with competency. It doesn't matter if it's an ex-international or if you are somebody who has the ability to study hard for coaching career. It's all have to do with competency. As far as you know what you're doing as a coach, as a manager, it's easy for you to create a tactics that can work, the kind of formation that can suit each player. You know, you can play a pivotal wing back, or you can play 4-4-2, 4-3-3, depending on the kind of player that you have. If you agree with me, if Victor Iwobi was probably playing a 4-3-3 formation to attack from the counter-attack, I believe that we'll have more better African Cup of Nations. So it's not about the foreign coaches, or it's probably about competency. And Nigeria is a big country. You see what they do in the African Cup of Nations. We got to the final. Any coach that's going to be a Nigerian head coach now, I've already, the standards already been set. And what NFF actually pulled down for Kateria to be the head coach of Nigeria, it's quite simple. You have to show your competency. You have to have won one major tournament in any of the competition that you've obviously competed for. So yeah, let's wait and see where it's going to lead us to.
But we've seen in the past that when we look at records, they've not found the local coaches. Some are saying that they care less whether it's going to be a local coach. And when we mean a local coach, we mean somebody that is not in Nigerian. Yes. So when we say foreign coach, we mean somebody that is not in Nigeria. In that context, a lot of people say that there's nothing the foreign coach has done that his local coaches hasn't done at all. So I'm asking, how about those that care less whether they are local coaches or foreign coaches? They just want a competent person, whether the person is a foreigner or not a Nigerian or a Ghanaian. Do you also go with that idea that there should be a careless, that they care less about who the person is, whether a foreigner, all they want is competency?
What's I've just said that. Yeah, I have just said that it's all about competency. It doesn't have to. It doesn't really matter if you wherever you are coaching from. If it's the coach of Enyimba has his career, his portfolio fitted to play in that. If it's the coach of Enyimba that has the competency to lead Nigeria to any tournament, it should be given the job. It should possibly be on more of competency than just any foreigner or any coaches to come and lead the team. So it's more of competency for me than actual politics.
Now, that caused another interesting topic with a response you've just given. And what does that mean? It means that there's some persons and some group of people who believe that we have exposed ex-international who are in the same level with whoever foreign coach they've brought. We have Osini Guavon, who has taken us to the African Cup of Nations bronze medalist in the past. We have Sunday Elise. We have ex-international who has played Finidi George, who is now the interim coach of the Super Eagles. We have Amunike, who has taken us to the nations, to the Under-17 World Cup. He has won that as an assistant coach, and also won that. We have many people that profile fit into any category. So some ask, if that's the case, then why give us a foreign coach who is more or less in profile checking or review of the person's profile is not better off than our ex-international. If you want to bring a foreign coach, bring those in the A-list, Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, in that A-list. So why giving us Paseo, which profile is not better than that of Finidi George or better than that of Sunday Ulysses, and that's where the bone of contention comes from. So do you also believe you want to give our A-list coach, give us the best, that the profile is very high, not just bring somebody, a journeyman, bring Paseo, bring Genetroy or someone that has not done so well for him herself, when we have the local coach, ex-international, who can do the same thing?
Well, I think it all has to do with what Nigeria could afford when it comes to foreign coach. Do we have that kind of millions of dollars to splash on the likes of Jose Mourinho, like you just mentioned, or any other coach that you mentioned, maybe a Pep Guardiola, who knows? If Nigeria can meet his demand, I think we can actually have a good coach like that. But it was, it's all about, it's this kind of, how will I call it? It's arbitrary to actually believe that you have to look for a foreign coach before you can win a tournament. It's not normally the idea when you look at most of the European standard, yeah? But I think it's this kind of a consciousness because most of these Nigerian players, they play outside the country. So they always believe that, they pay more respect to most of those foreign players than African coaches in general. But like I said, it's all about competency. It's about playing for the team, playing for the badge, playing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I mean, when I was growing up that time as a kid, I always wanted to play for Nigeria. So it would have been regardless of whoever coach they play, I will have shown my skills as a player. But yeah, it's what it is. It's about business, actually. It's more about business. It's all about the money involved. Who knows if it's politics that makes them bring their foreign coach to Nigeria, actually. But if it's about competency, then I still believe that someone like Emmanuel Emenike, someone like Hugo, who has put their profile out there for the vacancy job, should be given a chance.
Well said. And now, anytime we have a coach, we remember what Stevie Keshi did for us in South Africa by winning the Nations Cup. There's always an inclusion. Should a foreign coach or a local coach, whoever the coach might be, should NFF be giving the coach a directive of an inclusion of the players in the Nigerian Professional Football League? Because it's obvious that we have so many good players in the Nigerian Professional Football League. For example, Nwabali is not up to his 2 seasons in his club in South Africa. He was with the Nigerian Professional Football League before he left for South Africa. Now, should there be that inclusion that for every squad, every meeting, there should be 40% inclusion of the local coaches to the national team, or 30%, or the NFF should just give the coach a free hand to ensure that he wins regardless to the input of the players from the local scene? Because we are still also talking about how to improve the Nigerian league. What's your take? Or should the NFF just give a free hand and let the coach display whatever he or she wants in regards to the target given to the coach?
Well, actually, this is a very loaded question, and it's very tricky to answer. Because if you want to come from the place of bias, and then you want to play at very top standard, you want the best of your players to lead your front line. But if the NFF give a directive to any coaches or foreign coaches that you have to include the local boys in the team, then it makes it a 50-50 chance for you to actually compete in any major competition. But yeah, like I said, you just choose Nwabali as a very good example. I still believe that as a coach, one of the major responsibility of a coach is to is to be able to cite good players. It doesn't matter if they play if they are foreign-based player or they are local-based player. if Nigerian coach, even if a foreign coach is being appointed, he probably could watch most of the African leagues. He could watch some of the boys who play in the African league, and you can't tell me there are no good players in Nigerian National League. You can't tell me there are no good midfielder there. Like you see in the African Cup of Nations, we probably don't have any midfielder in that tournament. I mean, we could have looked for some of the boys. So I could agree that it's a 50-50 chance. If you have all of your best players playing outside Europe, then you can bring them together and play. It's the Super Eagles of Nigeria we're talking about. They're representing the national team. So it's not about just one particular part. It's about bringing all of them together to play. Of course, if you have a player in the local league that can play with the likes of Victor Osimhen, why not? He should be given that kind of opportunity to play. But if they don't match up, that's why international friendly matches are very important. They are integral to building a team. As playing international friendly, they should be able to invite some of the boys in the local league to come and play alongside with the major boys of the Super Eagles. That gives them a fair chance to showcase what they have. But when it comes to international standard, and at that time they should be able to have managed a successful team that can give Nigeria the best. Because if we narrow it down just to local boys or giving ultimatum to coaches of who or who to pick, then it will be faulty when it comes to selecting his first 11 or selecting his 21-man squad, if you agree with me. So it's a tricky question. It all depends on the coach. It should be one of his major jobs. I think I will have said that he should be given more responsibility to fish out good players in the local league and of course international player playing together. That will help. If you organize a friendly match like this kind of friendly matches, we don't expect all of the superstars Nigeria have to play in that match. We can include the boys in the local leagues to be able to also play alongside the player. That way we build the confidence. That way we build the player, and of course we also project Nigeria to the world. Don't forget, there's one of the fantastic Nigerian player who's actually called to the Super Eagles to play in this match. The batter playing Empoli, the right winger, right attack, defensive midfielder, I can't remember it.
Okay.
His full name is. He was born in Netherlands and played for Empoli. That's the kind of sports that we are looking for. Somebody who can maximize their potential from different places around the world, whether it's in the local league or in international. There are so many players that have actually contacted me here in Estonia that they want to play in Nigerian Super League. They want to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. How can they get invited? Some players, they play in Lithuania, they play in Latvia, some even plays here in Finland. But of course, that's the job, one of the major jobs of the coach. You have a long time before you play another tournament. So you should be able to pick different players all around the world to fit in for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, well said. I'm sure for those listening at home, if you want to be part of this, you can join us on all our social media platforms. And I'm going to ask you this is a bit personal, because everybody has favorite and preference in most things we choose in life. And because there's choice to make, there's arrays of stars. We have, like we've seen, obviously, the pictures of Finidi George. We've seen Sunday Ulise, we've seen Emmanuel Monike, and some prefer a small section. We also say, why can't we have Austin Guavon for what he has done for us in the past? So I want to ask which of them perhaps they might not be on the list you have seen there, but which of them would you probably, in terms of the local coach, will you prefer? Or if they're not even part of the favorite, which of them will you prefer to be the head of the Super Eagles?
Well, I will say I don't actually have a favorite. All of these players that you mentioned, they were men that I look up to when I was growing up. These are the players that gives us joy. It gives us reason to believe in sports back in those days in the early 90s. Of course, I would have even suggested, why is JJ Okocha not on this list? Why is Kanu Nwankwo not on this list? So I have a whole lot of respect for Nigerian senior players. Whoever is unpicked by the Nigerian Federation is best for me, in as much as they are competent enough to lead Nigeria to what we aspire for, then it's fine by me.
Okay, you're actually very neutral there, but it's difficult to be very neutral when we have stars like this. I mean, we have the man they call Austin Guavon. He has been there before. Emmanuel Mike has taken us to the under 17 World Cup before, both as assistant coach and the coach. And I think he has done something also outside Africa, outside Nigeria too. We have Austin Guavon. So you don't care whatever the profile is. So far, it's an ex-international of any of this you're okay with. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I don't really care. I don't really care about the profiling. I care about the competency of the manager himself.
Okay. Now, let's not go to the foreign coach, the foreign counterpart. Most times, you're looking at history, we've not really taken very popular ones. Even the man they call Westerhoff, who has done so well for the country. The Nigerian's position as the Super Eagles made him even more popular. Do you think we should still go for journeymen? When I mean journeymen, people that are previously unknown in the cycle of African coaches. We have those that are known, those that have done so well from themselves in the past. But do you should go to somebody, coaches that are not so known? Garnachoy wasn't known until we bought him. Paseo wasn't well known until we bought him. I can also agreeably say that this person wasn't known, Westerhoff wasn't known, the man Joe Bonfejo wasn't known, except Betty Vogts. I mean, Betty Vogts is arguable that he was known, he wasn't known because he's a German and he has done so well for the German team, both as a player and all that. But should go for somebody well established, somebody that we know what he has done we should go for names like Jurgen Klopp, perhaps if it's available. So I'm just mentioning names. So what do you think we should go for? Known names or unknown names?
Well, I think that's where we should do a very proper scrutiny. I mean, the World Cup is just ahead of us. And then we will be going to United States, Mexico, and Canada to play the next World Cup. So, I mean, if we haven't qualified to the next round of the World Cup, if I could remember any tournament in Korea, Japan, I don't think we come in South Africa. We haven't really compete for any. We haven't really do well in a World Cup tournament. But I think this is the best time in our history after the likes of in 1990 and 1994, where we have those guys who won the I can't remember and Atlanta '96. Okay. I mean, this is the best squad we are parading right now with Victor Osimhen, one of the greatest players that will be playing football for Nigeria years and years to come. I think we should go for known names. A very good name will be able to help Nigeria. We'll be able to know the boys very well. If we are to go for international coaches, not local coaches. But for me, yeah, apparently that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, and I know authoritatively that there's always a consequence for actions. Like if you go for well-known international names, that means it's going to be money-spinning coach. You know, coaches are expensive, well-known, those that have made that names in the world of football. If you are going for Ancelotti, you know you are going to break the bank for Ancelotti. And if you are going to go for those caliber of coaches who has done well for themselves in the past and even presently. So it's going to be bad. I'm sure that's why. I'm not saying that's the reason, but that probably be one of the reasons why NFF like going for not so popular names. If you imagine if you are paying someone like Paseo almost $50,000 per month, I think they're about. You can imagine what we'll be paying for if you are going for Jurgen Klopp, just using that name as an example, how much it will be. But nevertheless, we've seen that there's nothing from reports we have, there's nothing the foreign coaches has done that the local coaches hasn't done. You look at Stephen Keshi, he has given us the Nations Cup. If you look at Austin Guavon, he has given us a bronze medal. If you look at Shuaibu, Lele Shuaibu, Mamadou Shuaibu has given us several bronze medals as the coach. And when you also look at what the foreign counterpart has done, They've given us the Nations Cup. That's only West Africa has done that, and others. So these are we are in between. That there's nothing that the foreign coach would do that the local coach has not done. So why go for? I want to ask you whether you believe that school of thought, because you said that it's only about competency. So if the local coaches have been competent enough to give us this, and the foreign coach has been competent enough to give us the same thing, so why do we have to go for a local coach? If they can argue for that, why do you have to go for? Why not a local coach? If all the foreign coaches have given us are this, and the local coaches have given us the same thing, so why go for something that we have? Why go for something outside that we have within our territory? Is there any case for that?
Well, I think it's we have to raise the bar, or we have to set a standard. Like I said, if we want to compete in the major tournament, then we need the foreign coach. I might subscribe to that. I mean, if you want to compete, like I just mentioned, the World Cup, which is the biggest tournament in the world, you probably will need an experienced coach. I think that's the world itself. It should be an experienced coach, not just international coach. You can't just bring any foreign coach just because he's from Portugal or just because he's from Italy or from Germany to come and lead the big boys. It's all have to do with competency. I mean, if by what you've said, if what most of our coaches, our local coaches, as they call them, has been able to deliver what the foreign coach has delivered, then arguably we should stick with our local coaches. But if we want to raise the bar and stand a standard for for a major competition like the World Cup, then probably we can work hand in hand with our local coach and foreign internationals to give us the best of the tournament.
Now let's go now to one question that has taken the aims of affairs when the former president of Nigerian Football Federation was there talking about the man they call Amaju Pinnick. Amaju Pinnick brought about a new era. I just want to hear your own opinion on that, about Nigerian players based in abroad, born over there, have been taking a preeminence when it comes to selection than the local coaches. And of recent, you see that if you are based over there for some time, that's foreign based, and you are born there, is either both parents are Nigeria or we have one of them not in Nigeria. They take preeminence in selection. Look at the present squad of the Super Eagles. We have the likes of Alex Iwobi. Before the Nwabali came in, is just one example of the many lots. We have Indeed is also in the same category of Nwabali. They've made their names here, they've been here before they went. But most of the selections and people playing for the Super Eagles, some of them are players that have done so well for them. They've made names outside there. Chus Ekong, Alex Iwobi, Kevin Bassey, Olaino. These players are players that have been there, over there, and the selection favors them because they've done so well. And that is against players that are born here in Nigeria. If they don't go out there, they don't get selection. You want to say something on that, or do you think that's in the right order? We also have Lukman, also in the likes of players of Alex Iwobi, who get the preeminent selection because they are based there. What does that tell us? Does that tell you that there should be a rush to go and play outside the country so that you can have your selection for the Super Eagles? What's your opinion on that?
Well, that's a tough one, actually. And then it comes with a lot of sentiment, if I'm correct. I will say, we used a very popular example, Kelvin Bassey. He was supposed to play for England. He played in England under 17 before playing for Super Eagles. And of course, we saw what he did in African Cup of Nations. He was one of our best defensive players in that tournament. But of course, well, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. We are all one Nigeria, wherever you are being born, whether you are born in Brazil or you are born in South Africa or you're born in England, we're all Nigeria. It's not about, I would say, that's where politics comes in. I mean, even nowadays, I keep saying it's very difficult to find a good player anymore because many people have seen they've seen the business angles of being a footballer. So it has now been a business that has to do with people who know who a player, someone's parents have played in the local leagues or play in one major competition. It's easier for them to call up the coach and say, "Oh, my boy plays for this. Is a footballer now. You can try him on." So it's intertwining. It's very difficult to actually lay a very good explanation to that, but it still deal with the coach management. Yeah, if they bring good boys from different part of the country, and it's not as good as what you believe, then and it's not as good as what you believe, I think that's when you can probably select a good player. So it's more about selection of quality player than just mere names playing in different international league. But also we agree that we underfavor Nigerian players who are born in Nigeria than players who plays outside, players who are born abroad. I mean, it's raised their profile. They believe that they have they teach them good technical skills before playing, and then they pass through quality selection. And so it's intertwining. It's very intertwining. But at the end of the day, it's about portraying a good image of Africa, and it's about portraying the good image of Nigeria. So as far as somebody could deny the country where he's originally born and come and play back home in his own country, I think I will give him a lot of respect because one of the main issue that you have as a footballer is your retirement age. After your retirement, what do you get next? What's your benefit? I'm very sure if you play in England, you are settled as a player. You'll be settled. You get uranium. You get a lot of things after it. And we've seen so many Nigerian players who have finished their football, and then they find it difficult after some time to be able to feed well. But so it's very difficult. It's very difficult. We want these boys to play for Nigeria. Actually, boys outside Nigeria to come home and play, and then you can't deny them to play in their fatherland. So it should still, that's where managerial coaches comes in. It should be based on competence. Picking a player should be based on pure competence and pure potential and talent.
Okay, well said. We will now go to the next topic. That's an international friendly between Nigeria and Ghana. Tell us, this rivalry has become something way back. That's the game between Nigeria and Ghana. And do you think Finidi George should continue as the coach of the Super Eagles, regardless to the outcome now? What do you think about, or it's too early to say anything about Finidi George as has handled the game?
Yeah, well, currently it's too early to. Finidi George leading Nigeria to his first international friendly is a very good one. I mean, he's one of the person in line to be the head coach, to be known as the manager of Nigeria, which will be. I mean, this particular match for him today is a test of his knowledge, and that's why you have all of those boys come back to represent the Super Eagles. So I think it's too early, but of course this match is more of a good portfolio for him to tell Nigeria and win the victory. Nigeria and Ghana has always been a tough one, and last time we played Ghana, I think they won us, and and in Abeokuta today. So hopefully Nigeria should win this match today.
Also, regards to the normal thing, apart from the friendly, there's this sentiment that a lot of people have towards Finidi George, perhaps because he was one of the best 7 in the world in the past. And his days in Ajax with the Champions League, his days in Real Betis. He was supposed to go to Real Madrid. One thing happened, and he went to Ipswich. Before then, he was in Nigeria. There's this likeness about him. And before he became the coach of Eimba, there's just so much likeness around him. He's a likable person because of what he has done in the past. If he end of the day, NFF has decided to make him the coach of the Super Eagles, would that be a good decision because Nigerians like him, or you think it's based on sentiments? What do you think about, at the end of the day, NFF announced Finidi George as a substantial coach of the Super Eagles?
Well, I think it's a great one. Like I said, we need a respectable coach, somebody who has played in top flight, like you mentioned. He has played in Ajax back in those days. He played in Real Betis and went to England to play in Ipswich. He's a good player. He's one of the likable player. I used to watch him as a kid. He will run around the flanks. I mean, that's exceptional. He's a good player for Nigeria, and he's a very low-profile man. He keeps his profile to himself. He hardly find him in any controversy. So yeah, like you said, he's a likable person. It's not a mistake. I mean, we are looking for somebody who can manage the boys, and don't forget, these boys are also, they are big boys, and to manage a big player, you have to be a big coach. So you have to be a big man too, a big coach and a big name. So he's a big name in Nigeria, he's a respectable name in Nigeria. If he has what it takes, if he's qualified enough to lead Nigeria to what we want, then apparently I think we'll rejoice in being the head coach of Nigeria.
And what's more interesting is that the Ghanaian side also brought a new coach, Otondo Otu. He has done so well for the Ghanaian side after they left the group stage of the AFCON and they are now back to this. It seems everybody wants to go back to their coach, to the local coach. Everybody wants to go back to the coaches that they were all known to. And the last World Cup, all African players of the African nations that were in the last World Cup all went with the local coaches. And the Moroccan coach was also a local coach. That's is a Moroccan an African, let me use that word, who has done so well for himself, and he became the first coach to take an African side to the semi-final of the World Cup. And before then, the Senegal team that also went to the quarter-final was also taken by a local coach. Didn't Africans should just close the door for foreign coaches?
Yeah, well, I don't believe that.
Because history, I'm not saying history has favored the local coaches so well.
But they favor local coaches in Africa than in international competitions. So it's more of, like I said, it's more of selection, competency, and then the right coach at the right time and with the right players. If you're an international coach, if you don't have the right players, then you don't have the right momentum to play any competitions. So, I mean, technically speaking, it favors local coaches. Yeah, I mean, they should be given a chance. Actually, they should be given a chance. The local coaches should be given opportunity to lead their team, but they don't write off international coaches. They also have this vigorous screening that they used to go to, so many certifications, so many internships before they become a coach. So I don't know more in Africa. I don't know how they get their certification. It shouldn't just be based on players or players profiling or players name, of course. So big names, big boys, big stars. It should be managed by big names and big men. If not, you have a team that will be very difficult to undo, and then you will always want to have a favorite. As a player, if you're just a player who is more of a striker and you just become a coach, then you always want to attack and attack and attack. But it has to do with technicality. So coaches have to have this experience of more technicality, and of course, we should not rule out both international coach or local coaches. It should be a 50-50 selection, depending on what you are going for. If you are going to compete for the World Cup, then we should probably look outward. But if you are going to compete, if you are playing just mere competition, African Cup of Nations, and then local coaches can give you that, then why not?
Should this result, this game, should use you to consider whether a game is going to play other friendly game, but the results, should the Ghana results, should you use it to judge the potential? I'm sure that's too early, but I just want to hear your opinion, because Nigeria are so impatient when it comes to success. They're quick to always want success in every level. That's why a lot of people do the quick switch syndrome scheme and all that. Now, a lot of people will say that this game is a yardstick to qualify Finidi George. Do you want to go the other game again that is going to play? But do you also want to join that the game is enough to qualify him? Or
So I think it's a test of knowledge for him. I mean, he's first in line currently. He's leading the boys and he's seeing the players. And if he can't deliver in his first game and the match against Mali, then how is he going to play Cameroon? How is he going to play South Africa? Or how is he going to play Brazil? So I think it's a first is probably is in the right time to deliver, and of course authoritatively show Nigeria that he has what it takes to lead Nigeria.
Oh, okay, so you're also in the board that he shouldn't be given the position if the result, the coming next international friendly again, is the two games should not be enough for him to judge who he is. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
Yes, absolutely. It should be based on his merit in his first two games.
okay, are you saying that his input in the Nations Cup wasn't felt? I mean, he was the assistant coach of. He also, his profile says that he's assistant coach of the winning silver side in Côte d'Ivoire. So that's a very good profile. Well, we're not going to judge him based on that too. Or I think he's the assistant coach there too, so that should also be based on that too. That's your opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are going to drop their opinions on the comment section on our social media platforms. But your own expert opinion, being a football administrator, you've done so well for football. Even right now in Estonia, right now, should we clean that profile of being assistant coach of a winning side?
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why he's giving it caretaker manager job currently right now, because he is one of the silver winner for Nigeria, and he just finished African Cup of Nations. So, and then if you want to, I mean, look at what the Ivorian coach did. Yeah, they sacked the head coach and the assistant coach, become the winner of the African Cup of Nations. So what is going to stop him from winning his next two friendly against Ghana and against Mali on Tuesday? So if he's not going to start with winning, then Nigeria will probably be impatient. I am just saying that it should be on merit, and then he has opportunity to prove that, then he should deliver.
Yes, he should deliver, and if he doesn't deliver, other coaches we should look for something, someone else. I think you rightly said from that particular opinion, fine. But I feel from reports we get, do you understand that the two games might not be so much. The games also on Tuesday might not be the best to use him, to judge him. But he should know better, because, you know, a lot of people also testify that is a very, very good yardstick to qualify him. But the Finidi George, we always know that with his record with Eyimba, I'm sure that he has so well to talk about. So lastly, before I let you go, I'm sure about people are, I think I should tell our viewers, anytime we have you on our program to talk about this, they should hold up barrels and, you know, papers to put one or two things together because of your expert opinion. The next game on Tuesday, what should we be looking at? The same players, or there should be change of players, because Nigeria is never short of talent. Natural resources, we have them in abundance. Human resources, talent, everything. So the game against the next game on Tuesday, what do you think we should be doing? What advice do you think you should give to the interim coach, Finidi George?
Well, I think it's getting to know the boys, and it's friendly match, like you said. So it's going to be rotational. He probably will not parade the same boys he paraded today against Mani. So obviously, many other players will be given opportunities to also shine, and that's where we can start. He can start building his main starting 11 from there. I probably believe he won't stop at what his former coach has done, Joseph Pesero. He will probably want to instill his own tactics and his own way of playing. And then, yeah, he has to find his own key. He has to find his own player if he wants to continue to lead Nigeria as a Super Eagles coach. And if he wants to be named as the head coach, it's a big one if his name as a Nigeria head coach. That's the highest profiling as a manager in Nigeria. So obviously, he will probably rotate the player, and of course, he still needs to win. And like you said, it's not enough for us to judge him, but for Nigeria who are very impatient, I probably believe that if he loses 2 games in hand, or he will probably be turned against. But he's always a cool man. I like him. Yeah, I like him. I respect him as a child, and he's doing well. And let's see how it goes on Tuesday. I believe he's going to rotate the player. He's not going to be the same type of player that he's used today.
Yes, thank you very much for your time, your resourceful time, your expert opinion on all we've discussed. Thank you very much, Chinwagbabiaka. Extend my greetings to the world of sport in Estonia.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. You've been speaking with Chinwagbabiaka, who is a sport administrator, a football expert. He's based in Estonia and has been giving us tips on who should be the next Super Eagles coach and the international friendly, and the one between Nigeria and Ghana, and the one we're expecting on Tuesday. So this is all we draw the curtain for today's program. Thank you for watching. I remain Mudashiv Shitu. Same time next week, we'll give you all what you need to know in the world of sport. Bye for now.